Darkness filled the space around the moon. Thousands of alien ships hovered in silence. Their weapons were armed. Their scanners were active, and deep inside the hollow part of the moon, one human remained. His name was Raylan Ward. Raylan sat alone in a cold room inside Lunar Outpost Zero, the last Terran base ever built. It had been abandoned for over 50 years. Earth was gone. The great human cities were turned to dust. Billions had died. Billions more had vanished without a trace. Now, the galaxy believed the humans were extinct. But Raylan Ward was still alive. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a commander. He was just a systems technician. He fixed computers and restored power grids. He never thought he would become the last hope of humanity. But something deep in the moon had called to him, and he had answered. He stared at the blinking red light on the console in front of him. The ancient Terran system had been asleep for centuries, but now it was awake, humming with power. The screen displayed one line: Chronocore activation, 89% complete. Outside, the alien fleet prepared for final invasion. The high command of the Varnak Empire had waited long enough. They had found this human signal 3 days ago. They had studied it, debated it, now they had decided to wipe him out. Raylan didn't know why the aliens feared the system he was about to activate. He didn't know the full purpose of Chronocore. All he knew was what the AI voice had told him: "You are the last. Your decision will change the future forever." He rubbed his hands together. It was cold in the chamber. The life support systems were unstable, running on backup power. He hadn't slept in 2 days. He had eaten a single food pack in the last 24 hours. His face had grown thin, his eyes bloodshot, but his mind was sharp. Suddenly, a loud thump echoed through the chamber. The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Raylan stood up fast and looked at the motion sensor screen. Red dots were appearing one after another. They're drilling into the moon. He whispered. Chronocore spoke through the speaker in a soft mechanical voice. Hostile breach detected. Estimated enemy contact in 6 minutes. Raylan reached into a panel and pulled out a small plasma pistol. It had only 5 charges. He knew it wouldn't stop the soldiers of the Varnak Empire. Their armor could take direct hits from starship cannons, but maybe it could slow them down. He walked quickly through the dim hallway of the base. The lights flickered above him, past empty rooms with broken chairs, shattered screens, and long-dead control panels. This place had once been alive. Now it was a tomb. He reached the command bridge. Still smelled like burnt circuits and rust. He plugged his wrist data chip into the main console and accessed the defense systems. Only 2 drones were still functional. The rest had died long ago. But maybe 2 were enough to cause some confusion. He activated the drones. They flew silently through a vent and disappeared down the tunnels. Chronocore spoke again. "Do not have much time?" Raylan took a deep breath. "What happens when the system hits 100%? You become the vessel. Your mind will be linked to Terran memory network. Your body will interface with dormant systems." "What kind of systems?" "Planetary-level defense. Multidimensional logic engines. Proto-human archives." Raylan blinked. "That sounds big." "It is," Chronocore replied. "You were chosen because you were small." He didn't understand what that meant. But there was no time for questions. A loud explosion rocked the base. The walls cracked. Lights went out for a second before emergency backups kicked in. Raylan looked at the countdown. Chronocore activation, 96%. He grabbed a tool belt and ran down to the power core. He needed to make sure the energy stream stayed stable. Aliens damaged the core, everything would shut down. He reached the reactor room just as one of the side walls exploded inward. A massive armored alien stepped through the smoke, holding a glowing spear-like weapon. It stood over 8 feet tall. Its black armor reflected the red lights of the reactor. Raylan didn't think. He fired his plasma pistol. The shot hit the alien's chest. Sparks flew, but the alien didn't fall. It growled and raised its weapon. Raylan dove to the side. Another blast came from behind. One of the drones had arrived just in time. It fired. a laser beam into the alien's back. This time the armor cracked. The alien stumbled. Raylan took aim and fired again directly into the crack. The alien fell, smoke rising from its armor. Raylan panted, chest heaving. The drone hovered above him. "Thanks, little guy." The drone beeped twice and flew off. Raylan checked the systems. Power was still flowing, barely. He ran back toward the central chamber. Behind him, he heard gunfire. More aliens had entered. The base, he ran faster. He reached the chronocore chamber with 1 minute left on the countdown. He stood in front of the glowing sphere. It pulsed with strange light. He felt something deep in his brain, a kind of whisper. It wasn't words. It was memories, memories that were not his. Cities he'd never seen. Stars he'd never visited. Voices he'd never heard. But they all felt ... familiar. Chronocore spoke again. Final stage. "Please prepare for mind link." Raylan swallowed hard. "Do I have a choice?" "No," he laughed bitterly. "Figures." Placed his hand on the sphere. Pain shot through his arm, then his chest, then his mind. He screamed as visions flooded him. He saw 1,000,000 years of human history flash by in seconds. Wars, peace, joy, betrayal, invention, death, rebirth. Felt it all. He became more than himself, outside. The alien fleet started firing on the moon. Giant beams of energy struck the surface, trying to crack it open. But the moon didn't crack. Instead, lines of ancient symbols began to glow across its surface. The fleet paused, inside the base. Raylan opened his eyes, but they were no longer just his eyes. They glowed white. His voice had changed. "I am Raylan Ward," he said slowly. "And I am also what you feared most." The entire base began to shift. Old machines came back to life, walls moved, doors sealed. Lights brightened. Weapons unfolded from the floor. Alien soldiers in the tunnel turned and ran. They screamed in their own language. Raylan raised one hand. The energy from the sphere wrapped around him. He floated above the ground. Sriokor spoke one last time. Humanity was never destroyed. It was only waiting. Raylan smiled. "Then let's wake them up." Outside, thousands of small ships launched from hidden chambers inside the moon. They looked like stars made of metal. Fast and deadly, they shot into space, targeting the alien fleet. Explosions lit the dark sky. Alien commanders shouted in panic. Their numbers meant nothing now. The system they had tried to destroy had come alive, and it was angry. Raylan stood inside the heart of it all, filled with knowledge, purpose, and fire. For the first time in decades, he didn't feel alone. He was the last human, and now he had become something more. Everything was shaking. The moon rumbled from deep inside as hidden engines came alive after centuries of silence. Machines that no alien had ever seen before started to move. Weapons from a forgotten era aimed at the sky. In the heart of it all stood Raylan Ward. He floated above the floor, wrapped in silver-blue energy. His eyes glowed with white fire. His body looked human, but something inside him had changed. His mind now held the memories of billions. He was still Raylan, but he was also something far greater. Outside the moon, the Varnok fleet had stopped their attack. Their commanders were confused. Their ships had never seen technology like this. Some thought it was a trap. Others thought it was a myth come true. Raylan felt the chronocore inside him. Spoke not in words, but in thoughts, clear, strong, endless. "You are the core. You are the gate. You are the last spark of human will." Didn't fully understand what it meant. But he understood one thing: he was no longer defenseless. He opened his hands, and the walls around him shifted. Holograms floated in the air, showing real-time maps of every alien ship in orbit. The system even knew which ships had weapons ready, and which ones were already charging for another strike. Raylan focused. With a simple thought, he sent a command through the moon's systems. 100 beams of white light shot out from hidden cannons on the moon's surface. Each beam hit an alien ship with perfect accuracy. Most didn't explode, they just stopped working. Engines shut down, Shields failed. Power disappeared. Raylan didn't want to kill. Not yet, but he wanted them to know he was not helpless. In one of the larger alien flagships, Commander Krez of the Varnock Empire watched the battle with wide eyes. He slammed his fist into the control panel. "This is not possible," he roared. The humans were wiped out. "What is this weapon?" the science officer replied in a shaky voice. "It's not just a weapon, Commander. It's a living system. Part machine, part mind. Ancient, far beyond us. Then we destroy it. Prepare the singularity bomb." Back inside the moon, Raylan felt something strange. He felt a presence. Not from the aliens, but from the system inside the moon itself. It was old, older than he could imagine. He touched the command console, and a new screen opened. Project Echo Prime. Status dormant. Chronocore. Raylan said aloud. "What is Project Echo Prime?" The AI answered, its voice calm and deep. "It is the final defense of the Terran race. It cannot be activated unless you are fully merged." "I thought I already merged." "Not completely," Chronocore replied. "To complete the merge, you must enter the core vault." "Where is it?" Section of the wall opened behind him. A long tunnel stretched beyond it, glowing faint blue. Raylan hesitated for a second, then walked forward. The air inside the tunnel felt heavy, like it was full of memories. He passed strange symbols on the walls. Old Terran, writing, warnings, names, and dates. As he walked deeper, he heard voices in his head, not his own. A child laughing, a woman crying, commander shouting orders, a man whispering goodbye. Of it flowed into him. These were not dreams. They were real memories. The tunnel ended at a massive round door. His hand moved on its own, pressing symbols he didn't recognize but somehow understood. The door opened with a low rumble. Inside was a small chamber with a black chair in the center. The air crackled with energy. Chronocore spoke again. "This is the merge point. Once you sit, the full connection will begin. But there is danger." Raylan paused. "What kind of danger?" "Your identity may not survive. Billions of minds will enter yours. You may forget who you are." Raylan looked at the chair. Then he thought of Earth. He thought of the cities, the forests, the oceans, and the people who once lived there. He thought of his sister, his parents, his friends. "All gone. I already lost everything," he whispered. "If this helps bring something back, it's worth it." He sat down. Instantly the room went dark. A sharp pain stabbed into his skull, then another. Then a wave of fire exploded through his mind. He screamed. He saw stars being born. He saw wars across galaxies. He saw humans reaching into black holes, building worlds out of gas and dust. He saw betrayal, love, hope, loss. He became a soldier dying in battle. He became a mother holding her baby. He became a scientist creating new life. He became all of them. The pain grew worse. He couldn't feel his body anymore. His name, Raylan, started to fade, but then a small voice called to him inside the storm. "Raylan," it said. He focused on it. "Raylan," it said again, louder now. He held on to that name. It's like a rope in the dark. The storm began to calm. Slowly, he opened his eyes. He was still in the chair, but something had changed. He felt everything. He could sense every inch of the moon base. He could hear the energy inside the walls. He could see into the orbit above. Even felt the thoughts of some of the alien soldiers, afraid, confused, desperate. Chronocore spoke again. Merge complete. Project Echo Prime now online. Raylan stood. The chamber began to change. Walls turned into screens, showing hidden systems across the galaxy. He saw old Terran ships hidden behind Saturn's rings, saw beacons buried under Martian dust. He saw a map of secret outposts in the Andromeda galaxy, all waiting, all silent. Until now, outside. The alien fleet had completed loading the singularity bomb. Commander Krez gave the order. Fire. The weapon launched. A dark sphere of pure gravity flew toward the moon, pulling everything around it. Even light bent toward it. If it hit, the moon would be crushed into nothing. Raylan raised his hand. The moon responded. A ripple of white energy burst out from the surface. It hit the singularity bomb head-on. The bomb paused mid-space. Then, it cracked. A second later, it exploded in a wave of harmless light. Back on the alien ship, silence filled the bridge. Commander Krez stared in disbelief. "No," he whispered. "No weapon should be able to stop that." Raylan appeared on their screen. His face was calm. His eyes glowed with the light of 1,000 stars. He spoke, his voice clear. "This system was not built to destroy. It was built to remember, and to protect what was lost." The commander tried to speak, but Raylan continued. "Your war is over. Leave now, or be part of a story your children will fear forever." The screen went black dot in space. Dozens of alien ships began to turn away. Some fled. Others waited, confused. Raylan turned back to the console. His mind now held not just memories, but full control of Terran defense systems across the stars. But something else had awakened inside him, a deeper voice. Not Chronocore. Something older. Something hidden. "You are not alone." "Raylan," the voice said. He looked up. The stars outside shifted. Something was coming. Something not alien. And not human. And it was waking up too. Raylan stood at the heart of the moon base, his eyes glowing, his mind filled with the voices of a lost race. But something had changed. He was not just Raylan Ward anymore. He had become a part of Chronocore, part of the memory of Earth, part of its final defense. But now, a deeper threat was waking up. He could feel it moving beyond the stars. Something ancient. Something the aliens feared even more than him. He didn't know its name, but he felt its presence, cold, dark, and watching. Inside the alien fleet, Commander Krez was burning with rage. Many of his ships had retreated after the failed attack, but some still waited for orders. Krez contacted a shadowy figure through a private channel. "We failed to destroy the human system," he said. "The one known as Raylan has merged with the Terran core." The figure's voice was low and distorted, and sent the hunters. Krez nodded. "All of them?" "Yes. No mercy. No prisoners. Find the human. Kill him before it's too late." Back on the moon, Raylan was learning fast. Every second, new knowledge flowed into him: maps, battle tactics, languages, even how to fly old Terran warships. But the more he learned, the more he felt pressure inside his mind. It was like holding back a storm. He stood in the command chamber, watching the screens as new signals appeared. Chronocore spoke, warning. Multiple hostile forces entering lunar tunnels. Identity: Varnak elite hunters. Raylan narrowed his eyes. "How many?" 7. Each genetically enhanced, designed to kill humans. He looked at the tunnel map. They were already inside. He moved quickly to the armory. Inside were old weapons covered in dust and locked behind metal walls. But when Raylan touched, the walls slid open. Guns, drones, energy traps, and stealth fields revealed themselves. He didn't need much. He picked up 2 items: a magnetic blade and a single-use pulse grenade. He turned toward the hallway. "I'm not running." He moved fast through the dark tunnels, setting traps as he went. Closed doors behind him. He shut off lights. He made the base his battlefield. Then he waited. The first hunter entered through the lower Vensix legs, black armor and a face like a skull. It sniffed the air, its blade-tipped arms ready to strike. It moved slowly through the hallway, unaware of the trap. As it stepped onto the pressure plate, a shockwave exploded under it. The creature was thrown into the wall, roared and tried to stand. Raylan dropped from above and slammed the pulse grenade on its chest. The blast sent both of them flying. Raylan hit the ground hard. His shoulder burned. The alien screamed sparks. Shooting from its armor, Raylan stood and stabbed his magnetic blade into the weak spot near its neck. The alien fell still. 6 left, he whispered. Another signal appeared, then another. 2 hunters were coming from the reactor tunnels. From the ceiling ducts, 3 more closing in from all sides. He knew he couldn't fight them all with strength. Had to use the base. He ran to the old gravity chamber. It was designed to test artificial pull for space missions. It had a central platform that could flip gravity inside the room. He entered the control booth and waited. 2 hunters arrived. It looked like walking tanks' heavy arms, sharp claws, glowing eyes. Raylan triggered the switch. The room flipped. Gravity reversed. The hunters flew upward, smashing into the ceiling. Raylan hit the emergency switch, flipping gravity again. They slammed into the floor. Raylan opened the door and tossed in a shock bomb. The room lit up with a burst of energy. Silence followed. He checked the screen. 3 left, he said, but the last 3 were different. They weren't rushing in. They were waiting. Watching. Raylan moved toward the central core chamber. As he walked, he passed broken walls and burned cables. Smoke filled the air. Then he heard footsteps. He turned. One of the final hunters stepped into view. This one was different. It spoke. "You are not a warrior," it said. "You should not be this dangerous." Raylan didn't answer. The alien stepped closer. "You are one mind, but the system has made you many. That is why we fear you." "Then leave," Raylan said. The alien tilted its head. "We can't. If you awaken the deep system, all of us die." Raylan felt a chill. "What do you mean?" "There is something older than the Terrans," the alien said. "Something buried. Something you will unlock if you keep going." Raylan thought of the voice he had heard before. The one that wasn't Chronocore. "I've already started," he said. "Then we must end you now." The alien lunged. Raylan jumped back, barely avoiding the strike. The hunter was faster than the others. Raylan dodged left and right, then slammed a panel on the wall. Steam burst from the pipes, blinding the hunter for a second. Raylan used the moment to strike with his blade straight to the creature's side. But it didn't fall. It roared and knocked Raylan to the ground as the creature raised its arm to finish him. A sudden shot rang out. A drone had returned. It fired a focus beam right into the alien's eye. The hunter dropped with a scream. Raylan sat up, coughing. His face was bruised. His hands were bleeding. He looked at the drone. "You're late?" The drone beeped once. Raylan stood, shaky but alive. He checked the system map. To Hunter's left. Both were gone from the sensors. He looked around. It's quiet. Then the power in the base dropped. Chronocore's voice went faint. "Raylan, the core is being accessed. Someone is inside." Raylan ran. He reached the central vault to find the doors already open. Inside stood the last 2 hunters. But they weren't attacking. They were doing something to the system. "No," Raylan said. He charged forward. The hunters turned. One moved toward him. The other kept working. Raylan fired. A stolen alien gun. The blast hit the first hunter in the chest. The second one turned. And Raylan tackled it before it could finish the override. They rolled on the ground. The hunter roared, striking him with its elbow. Raylan barely avoided a claw to the throat. He grabbed a loose cable and jammed it into the alien's armor. Electricity shot through its body. It screamed and fell. Raylan stood, gasping for air. The other hunter tried to run, but Raylan activated the room's lockdown. A beam of energy shot from the ceiling, disintegrating the last hunter mid-run. Silence fell. Chronocore returned. System integrity restored. Raylan dropped to his knees. His body was broken, but the base was safe. For now, he looked up at the stars. On the screen, the alien fleet was still out there, but they were waiting, and deep inside his mind. The other voice returned. "Raylan, we are." Near Raylan stood. "What are you?" the voice replied, soft but full of power. "We are what came before, and now we are waking." Raylan sat on the floor of the central vault, breathing slowly. His body ached. Cuts covered his arms. Blood dripped from his lip. But the pain didn't matter anymore. The last of the alien hunters were dead. The moon was safe for now. The lights in the room flickered softly. Machines hummed. Chronocore's voice returned, calm but shaken. Raylan, the threat has been removed. Raylan nodded. For now. He looked at the darkened screen in front of him. Strange symbols glowed on the surface symbols he didn't recognize, but still somehow understood. The language was old. It's older than Earth, older than anything the galaxy had recorded. He touched the screen. The symbols shifted. The room around him changed. A new section of the wall opened, revealing a chamber hidden even from Chronocore's maps. Raylan stood slowly and stepped inside. The chamber was circular, with one large chair in the center surrounded by a ring of golden panels. The panels floated in the air, spinning gently. In the middle of the room was a glowing sphere, larger than the one that had first awakened Chrono core. It pulsed like a beating heart. Raylan felt something deep in his bones, a presence. Watching, not Chrono core. Something else. He heard the voice, again the one from before Raylan. It was louder now, clearer, not just inside his mind, but echoing through the room. "Who are you?" he asked. "We are the architects, the first ones. You have touched what was hidden. Now you must know." Raylan's vision shifted. Flashes images pouring into his head. A planet covered in light, beings of pure energy floating above cities of crystal, stars being shaped by will alone. Then, a war flashes of darkness, screams destruction, and then silence. The vision faded. Raylan collapsed to his knees. Chronocore spoke softly. "You accessed the forbidden vault. This information was locked even from me." Raylan whispered. "Who were they?" Chronocore answered slowly. "Before humans, before Varnak, before any race, there were the architects. They shaped the stars. They built the roots of this galaxy. They vanished after a great war." Raylan stood up. Why was this hidden? Because the war they fought didn't end. It only went silent. Raylan turned back to the floating sphere. "And this," the Chronocore replied, "is not human technology. It is a seed, a remnant of the architects, hidden inside Terran systems. Waiting." Raylan's heart beat faster. Waiting for what? Chronocore hesitated. For a human strong enough to wake it. Raylan stepped back. "Why me?" "Because you were the last." Suddenly, an alarm echoed through the moon. Red lights flashed. Chronocore spoke quickly. "New signal approaching. Single alien ship. Fast, non-hostile. They're requesting communication." Raylan blinked. "Let them in." A screen appeared. A strange alien face filled the view-gray skin, 6 eyes, no mouth. Raylan tensed. But then the alien spoke through telepathic link. Its voice was soft and respectful. "You are the last Terran. And now, the key." Raylan didn't reply. The alien continued. "I am Orishvel. I am not your enemy. I came to warn you. If you wake what sleeps beneath the moon, all life may end." Raylan narrowed his eyes. "You're too late. I already opened it." Orish seemed to shiver. "Then it begins. Listen carefully, human. The Varnak Empire wasn't trying to conquer your moon. They were trying to contain it." Raylan's blood ran cold. Arish went on. "They knew what Terrans had hidden here. They feared it. Yes, but for a reason. The architects left something behind. A creation. A mistake. It feeds on memory. On intelligence. On life. If it wakes, it will not serve you. It will consume." Raylan looked back at the sphere, which now pulsed brighter. He felt a presence inside it. It's not kind. Not angry. Just hungry. Chrono core said. "The architects sealed this power, but Terrans believed they could use it. They were wrong." Orish nodded. "When your kind disappeared, we hoped the danger was gone forever. But now, it returns." Raylan stepped forward. "Then why warn me?" "'Cause you are still human," Orish said. "You still have a choice." The screen went dark. Raylan stood in silence. He looked at the pulsing sphere, then at the floating memory panels around it. He heard whispers, faint voices. Not from the past, but from inside the sphere. "Open us. Let us out. Free. Us, Chronocor interrupted. Raylan, this power can destroy planets or rebuild them. It is not evil. It is beyond. Raylan whispered. What happens if I let it out? Chronocor paused. You stop being human. He stared at the sphere. Then he spoke aloud. What if humanity never died? Chronocor replied. They evolved. They escaped this galaxy. Their echo remains inside you. Raylan stepped closer. What if they come back? He asked. Chronocor responded. Then you must decide who welcomes them and what remains when they return. Raylan closed his eyes. He remembered Earth, the sound of wind through trees, the taste of water, the laughter of people in the cities. It's all gone. He opened his eyes. He reached toward the sphere. As his fingers touched its surface, light exploded through the chamber. The base trembled. Across the galaxy, ancient Terran outposts lit up one by one. Old signals long thought lost blinked back online. Ships hidden under ice. Buried in oceans, floating in gas clouds, they all woke, and somewhere, far beyond the stars, a pulse was felt. A race that had once left this galaxy turned and looked back. They remembered, and now they were watching Raylan. Fell to one knee, his body shook, his voice broke. They're coming. Raylan couldn't move. The energy from the sphere flowed through his body like fire and ice. His hands trembled. His skin glowed with a soft golden light. His heart raced, but not from fear, from connection. He was no longer just linked to Chronocor. He was now connected to something much larger. The architects. Seed had awoken, and it was searching through him. Around the chamber, the floating memory panels began to spin faster. They released lines of light that wrapped around Raylan's body. Each strand was a memory, someone's life, someone's death, someone's voice. Raylan saw them all. An old man standing on a cliff, watching Earth from orbit. A mother holding a child during the last storm on Mars. A pilot flying into a black hole with no hope of return. A group of scientists laughing as they built the first gate between galaxies. The memories entered him. They filled his head, his heart, his soul. Chronocor spoke carefully. You are accessing the human memory core. It holds the thoughts, dreams, and knowledge of 13 billion Terrans. Raylan gasped. It's too much. If you stop now, it will fade, Chronocor warned. If you continue, you will change. The voice of the architects returned, deep and echoing. Do not fear. You are chosen. You are the first to carry the weight of a race. Raylan stood, his legs shaking. What do I do? Accept us, the voice said. Let us become part of you, and we will awaken what was lost. Raylan looked at his reflection. On the silver wall, his face was no longer the same. His eyes glowed with golden white light. Symbols danced across his skin. His voice no longer sounded like his own. He took a deep breath. I accept. Light burst from the sphere. The chamber exploded with energy. The moon shook. A wave of power spread through the base, through the tunnels, through the core of the moon and then far beyond. On Saturn's moon Titan, Terran listening posts activated on Pluto's orbit. An ancient ship turned its engines back on. On a forgotten planet in the Kuiper Belt, a hidden gate opened in deep space. Satellites once thought destroyed came online. The Terran systems were no longer silent, they were singing. Raylan dropped to the floor, breathing heavily. Could hear their voices now, millions of them, not ghosts, not illusions. They were waiting, the ones who had gone beyond, the ones who had left the galaxy. They had left Raylan a message, and now he could read it. He stood slowly and walked to the center of the room. The sphere's glow faded. In its place was a small golden cube, floating above a metal pedestal. Chronocor's voice was quiet. That is the key. It will allow you to send a single message. Across galaxies, across time. Raylan held it. In his hand, it was warm, alive, pulsing. He closed his eyes. He thought of Earth, of everything that had been lost. He spoke one sentence. We're still here. The cube flashed once and vanished. The message was sent far beyond the stars. It reached them. The post-humans. The ones who had become more than flesh. The ones who had seen the edge of the universe. They opened their eyes and they remembered a while. Back on the moon, silence filled the chamber. Then Chronocore gave an alert. New signal. Fleet is coming. Not alien, not Varnock. Human design, but far more advanced. Raylan looked at the screen. Hundreds of ships were entering the system. Ships that didn't match anything from Terran archives. Ships shaped like wings of light, moving without fuel, without heat, without sound. They stopped near the moon, and one ship sent a signal. It was not words, it was a feeling. Pride, curiosity, sadness, joy. Raylan felt them in his heart. Then a voice entered his mind, clear, strong, familiar. Raylan Ward, you have awakened us. You carry our memory. You are our echo, he whispered. Are you the real humans? We are what you will become, the voice replied. We are your future. But before we can return, you must finish what we started. Raylan felt a deep vibration from the moon. A second system had activated. Chronocore said, Protocol Genesis has begun. Humanity is not returning. It is being reborn. Outside, the alien fleets that had surrounded the solar system watched in silence. The light from the Terran ships grew brighter. They were not attacking. They were preparing. Raylan walked to the edge of the chamber. The panels followed him, glowing. Softly, he opened a new file inside his mind. It was called Blueprint. Humanity. It held designs for a new world, new bodies, new minds, and he was the one meant to build it. But deep in the system, he felt something else moving. Not light, not hope, but darkness. The enemy of the architects. The ones who had tried to erase them. Chronocore gave one final warning. They felt the signal, and now they are coming too. Raylan looked up at the stars. The real war hadn't started yet, but he would be ready because he wasn't alone anymore. Raylan stood in silence as the golden light faded around him. His hands no longer felt like flesh. His thoughts were faster, sharper. His body felt lighter, stronger. He was still Raylan Ward, but he was also more inside him, were the memories of billions of humans, their knowledge, pain, dreams, and love. Their voices whispered in his mind. They didn't control him. They followed him. He was their echo. He walked through the glowing corridors of the moon base. Everywhere he stepped, systems came online. Doors opened. Lights followed him. The base itself seemed to recognize him not as a visitor, but as its commander. Chronocore spoke with new tone now, like it respected him. You have become the keeper. The last living link to what humanity once was. Raylan paused. What do I do now? Chronocore answered. You must lead their return. Outside, the strange human-designed ships hovered in orbit. They didn't speak in words. They shared feelings. Their message was clear. You are not ready yet, but you will be. The fleet of light waited, watching, protecting. Raylan stepped into the Genesis chamber. It was a huge dome, hidden deep inside. The moon. The walls were covered with patterns, codes, DNA sequences, ancient math. In the center, a single black sphere hovered. Round it were hundreds of glass pods. Each pod was empty. Each one was waiting to grow a life, Chronocore explained. These are birthing pods. Here, the new humans will be created. Not clones, not copies. Real humans. With your memories, your culture, your spirit. Raylan looked at the pods. How many can I make? Chronocore answered. 13 million. Enough to restart a world. Raylan's hands moved without thought. He began uploading blueprints from the memory core. Everything was their education. Music, technology, medicine, history, emotion. He wasn't just rebuilding bodies. He was rebuilding a species. But time was not on his side. A warning flashed across the screen. Incoming threat detected. The alien. Fleets had seen the light. They felt the power. They were afraid. They were coming back with everything they had. Millions of ships, all united. all ready to destroy him before the new humans were born. Raylan closed his eyes, and he smiled. "I was hoping you'd try." He walked to the command deck. The systems there were older, but they still worked. He sat in the chair and placed his hand on the control pad. The moon base changed. Weapons unfolded from hidden chambers, massive cannons, drone swarms, energy shields. Ancient Terran warships hidden underground began to rise. They were slow, were old, but they were powerful. Raylan's mind linked with all of them. He was now the commander of the last army of Earth. Chronocor whispered, "You cannot stop billions." Raylan whispered back, "I don't have to. I only need time." The first enemy fleet arrived. The sky above the moon turned black with their ships. Raylan raised his hand. Fire. The first volley of Terran energy weapons tore through the enemy lines. Alien ships exploded. Drones weaved through the battle like angry wasps. The old warships turned slowly, but every shot hit hard. Raylan felt no fear. Every second he bought was one step closer to victory. In the Genesis chamber, the pods lit up one by one. Inside them, cells began to divide. Life was forming. The new humans were being born. Raylan fought without rest. He was one man, but behind him was the strength of 1 billion souls. He dodged attacks using gravity fields. He bent light to blind enemy pilots. He hacked alien systems. Mid-battle, his mind moved too fast for any computer to match, but the enemy kept coming. Some ships were the size of cities. Others were living creatures twisted by war. They fired beams that sliced through metal like paper. Still Raylan held. 1 hour. 2 hours. For hours, the Genesis chamber reached 10% capacity. Realization was tired. His systems overheated, but he did not stop then. A voice spoke to him again, the same voice from the glowing ships. "You have done well. We are ready." The fleet of posthumans above the moon shimmered. Then they moved. In one moment, they destroyed 1,000 enemy ships. No weapons, no explosions, just light. Pure light. The alien fleet screamed in panic. They turned to flee, but it was too late. The future had. Raylan fell to his knees. He could barely breathe. Chronocor said gently, "You are no longer alone." The glowing ships formed a circle around the moon. One of them sent a beam into the Genesis chamber. The growing humans inside the pods absorbed the light. They would not just be human, they would be something greater. The next step, Raylan leaned against the wall. His face was pale. His heart slowed. He knew what was happening. The merging, strain, the overload. It was the price. Chronocor's voice was soft now. "Your body is failing. Your mind is too full. You are breaking." Raylan smiled weakly. "That's okay. Was never meant to live forever." He looked at the first pod. A child's face was forming inside. A new human. He closed his eyes. "Just finish what I started." The sphere in the Genesis chamber pulsed with golden light. Raylan's body faded. His voice echoed inside the base, calm and proud. "I was one man, but I remembered all of you. And now you will remember me." Inside, the alien threat was gone. Inside, the new children of Earth were waking. And Raylan Ward, the last human, became more than a man. He became a legend. He became the soul of humanity. The stars burned with war. All across the edge of the solar system, alien ships gathered like a dark storm. They had seen what happened on the moon. They had seen Raylan Ward awaken the Genesis chamber. They had seen the new Terrans rising from light and memory, and now they were afraid. The Varnock Armada, once the greatest force in the galaxy, had returned. But this time, they brought allies, swarms of machines, beasts made from metal and bone, bioships that screamed as they flew. Their goal was clear: destroy the Terran rebirth. Before it could finish, on the moon, the Genesis chamber glowed brighter than ever. Inside, the pods were opening. The new humans stepped out one by one. They looked young, but they moved like warriors. They were born with memory, skill, and purpose. They were not raised. They were prepared. A girl with silver eyes looked up at the stars and spoke. They are here. The post-human fleet, glowing like golden suns, floated silently near Earth's orbit. They could have ended the war alone, but they didn't. One of them sent a message to the new humans. This is your fight now. You must show them who you are. On the moon. Chronocore activated the final defense system. Protocol. Ascension. Weapons from ancient times rose from hidden vaults. Machines walked out from the old tunnels. Drones with minds of their own linked to the children. The new Terrans took command without hesitation. The first battle began near Neptune. The Varnock sent 20 million ships. The Terrans sent 10,000. It should have been a slaughter, but it wasn't. The new humans were fast. They didn't think like the enemy. They worked together like pieces of a living brain. Their ships moved as one, dodging and striking with perfect timing. They didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with light, thought, and memory. The Varnock screamed in confusion. Their ships fell apart from inside. Systems crashed. Pilots lost control. Something was rewriting their machines. The Terrans had uploaded Raylan's final Codeco protocol into every system. Now, the very minds of the enemy were turning against themselves. Back on Earth's moon, a young boy stepped forward. His name was Cyril. He had Raylan's fire in his eyes. He raised his hand, and thousands of Terran weapons obeyed. He was the new voice of humanity. He spoke across space. We are Terran. You tried to erase us. You failed. It's not your galaxy anymore, the enemy answered with fire. Massive energy beams shot toward the moon. The light alone should have cracked it in half, but the post-humans moved. They became shields. Living energy that absorbed the blow. They bought just enough time. The new Terrans launched their final weapon, the core pulse. It was not a missile. It was a memory, a wave of human thought, carried by quantum light, burst out from the moon and spread through the enemy fleet. It hit them like a star exploding. Suddenly, the Varnock and their allies saw something they didn't expect. They saw Earth. They saw what humans had been. Children, sloughing in the rain, soldiers holding the line, scientists discovering wonder, mothers and fathers, artists and dreamers, builders and protectors. The enemy screamed. Some ships shut down, others turned and fled, but most tried to fight. Harder, too late. The Terrans were everywhere now, from Titan's surface to Mars's orbit. Old Terran weapons came online, satellites, hidden for centuries, fired beams of dark energy. Drones formed living walls of defense, and the new humans kept coming. They were not afraid to die because they carried the voices of those who had died before them. The Varnock armada collapsed. Piece by piece, a final command came from the alien high command: destroy the moon. Hundreds of suicide ships raced forward. Cyril saw them coming. He didn't run, he flew. Wrapped in energy, the mine linked to the entire Terran network crashed into the lead ship. There was a flash of white, then silence. For a moment, it seemed like the moon might fall, but the structure held. The Genesis chamber was untouched. Chronocore's voice filled the command deck. Enemy fleet down to 10%. Final Terran wave launching now. And from Earth's orbit, something massive rose. The last ship Raylan Ward had designed. TNS Unity, it was the size of a continent. Built using fragments of memory and metal. Powered by light and time itself. Its engines didn't roar. They sang one beam, one pulse, and the last enemy ship vanished from the system. The Varnock were gone. The stars were clear. Humanity had returned, not as survivors, as rulers. Chronocore gave its final report. Victory complete. System secure. Rebirth successful. In the quiet that followed, the children of Earth stood under the sky and watched the sunrise. For the first time in 1,000 years, the sun rose, not on silence, but on a future. Years passed. The solar system was quiet again, but not dead. It was alive with light. New cities floated above Earth. Massive rings spun around Mars. Titans, oceans now held farms, schools, and laughter. Humanity had returned. Not as it once was, fragile and scattered, but unified, evolved, unafraid. They called themselves Terrans now, and they remembered the man who made it. Possible Raylan Ward. Statues of him stood on every world. But his true memory wasn't in stone. It lived in every Terran. Mind, he had not just saved his species, he had changed what it meant to be human. Chronocore, now fully evolved, spoke with a new tone. No longer a machine. I am memory. I am story. It had merged with Raylan's thoughts, not copies his real memories. His voice returned sometimes during council meetings, during moments of fear, and when the stars whispered danger, because danger still existed. Though the Varnock were gone, the galaxy was still wide. Many species had watched the war. Some stayed silent. Some now asked questions, and some prepared for war. But something had changed. No one dared to invade Terran, space, because what they saw now was not a broken race. They saw fire behind human eyes. They saw what one man had done, and they feared what a billion united could do. A Terran scout ship named the Starborn Echo left the solar system. On board were the first group of Terran explorers. Born after the war, they were not like humans of old. Each had been trained from birth to handle the unknown. They were thinkers, warriors, diplomats, and something more. They carried within them echoes of every human life that had come before. Not as memories, but as instinct, as strength. They found old ruins in deep space, abandoned worlds, sleeping machines, and sometimes they found survivors. Aliens who had once fought the Terrans, now weak, now afraid. But the Terrans didn't destroy them. They offered peace, and many took it. Because the galaxy remembered it, remembered the pulse. It remembered the moon. It remembered Raylan Ward. He had become a legend. Some species called him the last warlord. Others called him the father of flame. But Terrans only called him Raylan, the man who didn't give up when everyone else had vanished in one distant system. Terran explorers found something strange. A sphere of golden light, floating in space. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a weapon. It was alive. When the crew approached, it spoke in Raylan's voice. "You found me," they froze. He continued, "I left a piece of myself here, a seed, not of war but of truth." The sphere pulsed, and from it came a map, not of space but of time. It showed thousands of galaxies, possibilities, futures, and a message. If one man can stop extinction, imagine what a billion can build. The crew returned to Earth. The message was shared. The Terran Council decided they would not conquer. They would guide. They would search for species in need, for broken empires, for lost children of the stars. Not as rulers, but as reminders that strength doesn't always come from numbers. Sometimes it comes from one voice that refuses to be silenced. The Terran fleet launched again, this time, not for war, but for hope. In the heart of the new capital on Luna, single light always glowed. Raylan's final words written in stone. They thought one human wasn't enough. They were right. One human was too much, and so his legacy lived on in every Terran. Shipped on every rising world and every whisper among the stars, humanity was not just back, it was eternal.